Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show. Hello.
Good day.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Goodness.
No, it's good evening first.
Are we doing it in the evenings?
Yeah, and then I was going to get goodness.
Never mind.
Loch Ness.
Yes. That's what I was waiting to hear. That was the one. Oh, marvellous.
Welcome to the Benji and Nick Show.
Yes, welcome. Nick, what do we do on the Benji and Nick Show?
Well, we talk about... Well, the first thing we do is describe the Benji and Nick Show.
Yes, quite. That would help.
Yes. We talk about cult television. We also talk about what we've been watching generally this week, and we also read out your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. This week we're discussing the 1975, I believe, HTV British children's science fiction program, Sky. What a beautiful oddity that is. And also we'll be giving you the result of the competition we ran to win Torchwood Children of Earth. I believe signed by me because I was in it.
In it.
What have you been watching this week, Benji?
I've been watching plenty, actually, because I had I've just returned from Germany, so I had the flights to contend with, which are about just under 2 hours. So I thought this is a great chance to watch some good telly. So I watched Another Flip for Dominic, the sequel to the flip side of Dominic Hyde,
which we spoke about last week.
Very interesting. Totally with you, Nick, in sense that he does is a bit more of a caricature of Dominic as opposed to the Dominic from the first drama. However, it was really good. I did enjoy it, and I felt the ending was really sad. It made me quite upset. It was a bit of far sadder than I thought, but definitely worth a watch if you liked the flip side of Dominic Hyde. Yes,
I must watch it, but I watched half of it and I got fed. I found his performance really annoying because it was in inverted commas too much. You know,
it was too.
I'm being finicky.
It was too inhuman. He was an absolute alien, wasn't he? It was all a bit.
Well, he's not an alien. He's meant to be a human being.
Exactly, but he behaves like an alien, doesn't he? In this.
It's like he didn't go back and watch the original, or he did, and I don't know, he'd done, because it was 2 years later, so...
Maybe he was just
weird,
busy.
Isn't it?
But I watched that. Obviously, I watched Sky on the plane. And you'll like this one. I watched The Prisoner, the Schizoid Man, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I was...
Schizoid
Man. Gemini. Well, he says it weirdly at some point, doesn't he? Gemini. But
it does, doesn't he? Absolutely right.
But I thoroughly enjoyed that.
That's the episode
actually.
When there's a double, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I had to
Have you heard my version of it?
I have actually, yes. With slightly different, isn't it? A little bit.
It's quite considerably different. Yes. Yeah.
But it's cracking actually. I haven't watched The Prisoner. I haven't sat down and watched The Prisoner in a long time. But it's on because I bought it on iTunes, so I've got them all there. And I was in a mad rush to get different things to watch, and I thought I'll have The Prisoner. I'll watch some of The Prisoner, so I synced it over, and best decision I made because I was just gripped, and I've seen it before, and obviously, but it's one of those. It's one of the iconic episodes, isn't it? Really, hence why it was adapted for Big Finish by yourself. The
main reason I adapted it is because people said, "How can you do an episode on audio where the two, the characters are identical, because you won't be able to tell the difference between them?" Whereas they make it really obvious in the TV series by giving one of them a white jacket and the other one a normal dark jacket. And I thought, no, I'm going to make a feature of the fact that you don't know which is which. I actually put in the script at one point, just in case some smart aleck actor raised the point. I said, by this time the audience will not know which one is which.
But that's part of the charm, isn't it? Though I think it really, and on a plane as well. Even though they were wearing different outfits, I did find after a while, I was even getting confused because there was so much going on. I was like, well, who's wearing this? Who's wearing this again? But great telly, and it stands up so well. Especially when it's in. I think we spoke about this when we covered The Prisoner, but when it's sort of in this absolute high definition. It looks just beautiful, and you could almost suspend your imagination and think to yourself, this could be made very recently, but stylized to look how it does. Interesting stuff. What about yourself, Nick? What have you been watching this week?
Well, I've been catching up with Public Eye on Talking Pictures TV. And I haven't managed to catch up on any more of the Owl service. I gave up on another Flip for Dominic for the reasons I outlined earlier to the honourable gentleman. What else? Nothing. Well, Steph and Ben have been with me this week in the flat, and we've been watching Avatar over 2 nights, which I think is a highly underrated film. It got a real slagging. There was a real desire to hate it when it first came out, because I think they hyped it so much and said this is an amazing 3D movie, and James Cameron is a controversial figure for some reason because he writes and directs. I don't know, or maybe he annoys people. I don't know. And I just think it's a cracking sci-fi movie, and it's much better in 2D, not 3D, because you concentrate more on the story, and it's a great allegorical sci-fi story, you know.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's really worth watching. It's beautifully made. I mean, it is incredible. The techniques that are involved are amazing. And Ben said, best film ever.
Wow.
He said, apart from the swearing. It's a 12, and it does have some rude words for poo and wee in it.
Oh dear.
And he was quite shocked by those, even though of course he's heard them rattling around in the world. But he did find he finds, I mean, unlike many children of his age whose parents are desperately trying to stop them from swearing, there's so much of that goes on. He's the opposite. He's just offended by it, you know, and switches things off if there's any swearing.
Oh,
you know, he's watching
him.
a YouTube video and suddenly someone says crap and he goes, right, it's off. You know?
Not today. Not today.
But yeah, so really, really enjoyed seeing it. I mean, you know, to be balanced, Avatar's a little bit heavy-handed and a little bit on the nose. There's lots of voiceover explaining stuff that you could have got without the voiceover. But, you know, yeah, I like it.
It was one of those ones for me that when it came out, so I missed it at the cinema, because the cinema... Not now, where there's literally a cinema about to open down the road, 10 minutes from where I live, which is going to be incredible. But where I lived before in Bexhill, it was such a hassle to get to the cinema that I didn't have that freedom to nip down and see a film. And so I couldn't be bothered to see it. And everybody kept saying, if you don't see it at the cinema in the 3D, then there's no point in seeing it.
That's not true. I'm here to tell you.
So I never did. I've got a 3D television, actually, which I barely ever... actually watched 3D on, but I remember it came to it when getting it, I had to choose what I wanted as the first 3D Blu-ray to choose, and it was between Avatar or Jurassic Park, and I think you all know which one is probably the one I would choose, which is Jurassic Park. Of course, yeah. I went for Jurassic Park. Sorry, seeing a Tyrannosaurus Rex ripping the but
that wasn't made in 3D. Jurassic
it wasn't,
Park.
But it was ported to 3D really well, actually, as well. It's really well done.
The 3D in Avatar was amazing, but I found it distracting. You spent a lot of your time sort of looking at things and going, wow, that's clever. And then thinking, oh, God, what's going on in the story?
I find that a lot with modern film. When I first saw it
on 2D, very, very reluctantly I saw it on 2D. I thought, I don't know why I watched it years ago. And I just... I suddenly thought, God, this is really good. This is an excellent story. And there were loads of things in it I hadn't noticed because I've been too busy goggling at all the sort of things flying around me. You know, I'm not a fan of 3D. I don't, you know, I want a story presented in front of me that I can think about and appreciate rather than go on a roller coaster ride. If you want to go on a roller coaster, go on a roller coaster. If you want, you know, intelligent, brain stimulating entertainment, hark at me on some sort of diatribe.
Well, I think it's what you're in it for, isn't it? If you want to watch a drama, then I would never watch a drama in 3D because I'm interested in the characters and the people and what's going on. But having said that, I mean, I'm all for innovation. I mean, I've got the Oculus Rift, which is a 3D virtual reality headset as well, If I
told Ben that, he'd be demanding that we went to visit you.
He'd love it.
He loves virtual reality. He's had 2 goes on it at various places where it's cost like $5 for 10 minutes, you know.
It's crazy how much they charge for it. My cousin's kids actually, they came round and had a go on it, and they were just, I mean, that was like 3 hours gone. They were loving it. But sometimes on there are really good ways of telling stories and doing different things, and you can have sort of things where you're standing in the middle. I mean, one that I loved was there was a Star Wars one which was just incredible. And it's only 5 minutes long in that, whereas where you're on Tatooine and the Millennium Falcon's there, and you've got Han Solo telling you what to do and saying, you must open this and you've got to reprogram this. And then all of a sudden overhead you see, the TIE fighters, and then it lands, and then stormtroopers come out and a lightsaber, and there's lots going on. But you do feel very involved in the story. And I remember my cousin said, he just said, this is the best thing I've ever experienced. And he was so into it that when a stormtrooper shot at him, he tried to duck out the way so much that he fell flat on his arse and fell backwards. It was hiding. It's amazing. So I think it's all what you're in it for, isn't it? I think it's the way with 3D and VR, and
I think it's ultimately how human beings will end up living. In imagined worlds, because we will have made such a mess of the real world. The only tolerable way to exist will be in an imagined environment.
Well, I mean,
I'm very cheerful today.
Well, yes. Well, it'd be interesting. Talking of cult, actually, the Roddenberry, is it Roddenberry Entertainment or Roddenberry Enterprises, responsible for Star Trek, have announced today, at least this is what I saw in an article, that they are teaming up with a massive tech firm to develop a holodeck.
Oh,
so
that was
that's it, isn't it? Really.
Well, there was an episode in Star Trek: The Next Generation, wasn't there, about someone who got addicted to the holodeck?
Well, you could, and it's like there's one, wasn't it, where visiting family or something, or I can't remember if that was it. But you can imagine how people would become addicted to that.
Well, totally. I mean, it's got to be better than life.
Well, imagine that, though. Imagine that for a scenario that you have to qualify for a good life in virtual reality, and that if not, you're stuck in a horrible virtual space. That's a bit Black Mirror for you, isn't it?
Very. Sure, it's been done.
Probably.
Don't know.
Maybe.
Well, that led us into an interesting conversation.
It did.
Let us know your thoughts. What do you think about virtual reality and how it might turn you into a psychopath? Write to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
Yeah, we do tackle our issues, don't we? Here we do. We do go for it.
I mean, see how much it cooks your brain.
That was a little cauldron. In case you...
Well, we're interesting ourselves here. Shall I do this first email?
Go for it, sir. Go for it.
Go for it. I'm going for it. The original message, the subject line was more merchandise ideas, and it was sent on the 25th of October at 1829.
Good year.
From our old favourite Thomas Hodden, writing to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. With little better to do for 5 minutes, I thought I would continue looking through the official Benji and Nick merchandise catalogue. That doesn't exist. I discovered the following are being released for the Christmas rush. The B&J Owl Service, a subscription service promising to deliver you a new owl every week.
It's a hoot.
Hey! I don't know what I was just going to. That's a horror owl.
An owl choking on a Tic Tac.
The Breakfast of Champions, a champions-inspired cereal that casts a golden glow over you as you strike a heroic pose.
I'd eat it. I would eat that every day. Not that I do many heroic poses.
The flip side of Domino's, a double-sided pizza that could only come from the future.
Amazing.
A double-sided pizza, that would be a dinner time disaster, wouldn't it? I'm getting stuck both sides.
I don't know. I'd go for it. So it's like an inverted
these are pure
calzone.
Gold. These are pure gold, aren't they?
They're really good.
Randall and Hopkirk decaffeinated. A spookily good instant coffee. Jamie Anderson's Little Chef Kitchen, a slightly dissatisfying play kitchen with faded colours that vanishes a few days after you open the box, never to be seen again. This is brilliant.
Gold.
Thomas Hodden, you are a genius. There's also something called Nick's ring modulator, but to be honest, I have no idea what it does. Neither do I. Thank you for my signed photo. We did send him a signed photo, didn't we? Yeah. Be sure to let us know when Benji makes the same kind of offer. Oh, I don't think you've got any photos, have you?
I have to sort that out, I suppose.
T.E. Hodden, sent from my writing chair. Brilliant. Thank you, Thomas. That's brilliant.
So we've got another email here. Original message Dubry. Subject: 5 run away from each other. Date 2018-10-16 at 2:13. This is from a Nyrin Hunt to podcast at nicholasbriggs.com. Nick and Benji. Something you could do is the famous 5, 70s one, not the 90s one. I would suggest 5 run away from each other together, since it has Patrick Troughton as an alternative to the first 2 episodes. I remember watching the DVDs for this since about 12 years ago. I saw them in the library and was curious since my parents had old Famous 5 books, which I looked a lot at as a kid. That DVD had an error. 5 go to Kirin Island wasn't the 90s version and not the 70s. An iron. P.S. When writing this, I accidentally wrote 5 run away from each other as a title without thinking. That has a rather different connotation. Certainly does. They're not very united, are they? That's definitely one for the list. I don't know what he means
about the Kirin Island thing. Does he mean was the 90s version and not the 70s version? And what were the 1990s famous 5? Then were they the comedy ones?
Were they TV movies or something? Let's have a look.
I don't know. Have a look. I didn't know they made them. I know they made them in the 70s because my dear friend Gary Russell plays Dick in them.
Certainly was, yeah.
We are and I have watched them again recently because we bought them for Ben and he enjoyed them for a split second. No, he enjoyed them for a few months. He was quite into them and then he sort of immediately grew out of them. But they're good. The Enid Blyton stuff just generally is good for reading to kids because any stressful situation that the characters get into is over within 5 minutes. You know, I can't remember. There are various Enid Blyton strands of stories, and it is terribly old-fashioned and quite patronising, but it does spring along rather nicely. What have you found on Goggle?
I used going back quickly. I used to love Magic Faraway Tree.
Oh, that's the one.
Absolutely
yes.
love that one. I think there was the magic wishing chair or the armchair or something. But yes, I've found
slightly annoying cushion.
Yes, and the aggravating footrest. Yes, it did exist in the 90s. Started on Tyne-Tees television from the 10th of September 1995 onwards. Its second series was shown on HTV in 1996.
Tyne-Tees rather dissatisfying logo in that it had no animation and didn't make a noise.
No, it was just that. It was
didn't even have the sense to go, which is what Yorkshire Television did.
Yeah,
but Yorkshire Television didn't have any animation, did it? It just
Tyne-Tees, you mean?
No, Yorkshire didn't either.
Yorkshire didn't for a few years. It had the thing when the arrow kind of went down, I think, in a weird, like a little thing. But mostly it was just
go up to Yorkshire.
Up to Yorkshire. You go up. It should go up, not down. But Tyne-Tees was a bit of a rubbish one, wasn't it? Really, I used to like Anglia as well with the little tin horse. Was it Westwood that had that something like that? Oh, I love Idents. That's the one thing that I think. Have you noticed that?
You were thinking that was the Southern Rhapsody you were singing there.
Maybe it was. Maybe what was Yes, no, you are right. What was Westwood TV? Westwood TV.
Westwood TV was just like an old
ship, wasn't it?
Ship, yes, an old ship. I think it went dun 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 dun.
Let's have a look.
I think Westwood did. I used to be absolutely crazy about ITV idents. For any of you who've never seen UK TV and don't know what we're talking about, I'm sorry.
I wanted to write a book on it. That was one of the things I was thinking of doing. Like years ago, I thought I'd just love to write a book on it and have really high quality pictures in it. Really, I just wanted a book with the pictures of all the idents in.
The Southern Rhapsody reduces me to tears.
Well, yeah, that was it was definitely Southern Rhapsody that I was singing.
And they used to show beautiful shots of the south of England, and it just looks so ancient now. And yet I remember watching it, and that was just the present day, and it looks so quaint and little and old-fashioned now. Can I just say I'm being distracted by my son who's outside the window in the garden doing that flossing dance.
Check this out, Nick.
I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see him. Hold on. Oh dear. I've just received a text as well. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
Just send you a link.
Oh, that's what you've
through
it's
Skype.
you.
And this is this website I found years ago, which I absolutely love. And it's somebody who has
625.uk.com.
And on there they have these screensaver flash sort of logo idents in absolute. They're all flash, but they're so high. They're in such high quality. So when you click on one of them, look at the definition of those logos.
My favourite one here is the ATV one.
So when you go onto the ATV one, click the picture.
Yeah.
And look at how sharp it is, the image.
It's amazing, yeah.
And it's got loads of them, and you can get the clocks as well as your screensaver. So I used to have it so that if you go into the clock section under contents, I used to have it so when my computer screensaver came on, the clock turns up like the BBC Colour TV clock.
Yes.
There, and it tells the actual time, and it's so good. Like, look at the clocks. Oh, I love them so much because it reminded me because of the Westwood TV clock. I think is on here.
They haven't
somewhere.
got any of the music, which is annoying.
Some of them do.
Oh, do
obviously, the clocks.
Ulster
don't.
Television, that didn't seem to do anything. Oh, there's the BBC clock.
Let's see if
lots of clock. Endless BBC clocks.
Where's the?
I'm quite bored of looking at clocks now.
Yeah, there are a lot of clocks. Hold on. Go to.
That's yeah. Where's the Southern TV one?
If you go onto the bottom, other pages in the TV logos section, go to screensaver flash files.
Look, we've got to get on. I can't just go through this website with people listening.
Yes, you can. No. It's brilliant.
Sorry,
but if you want to check that out, go to
625.uk.com.
and have a look on there, and you will be in TV ident heaven. It really is that
and Irene,
good.
you really provoked something there. Okay, here's our last email for this issue. It's called Invasion of the Tiny Robot. 2018 on the 25th of October at 16:26 from Sarah Berrett, B-E-R-R-E-T-T. I think I always have that problem saying your name, Sarah. Podcast at nicholasbriggs.com, of course, you sent it to. Dear Benji and Nick, as always, loving the podcast. Keep up the good work. My nephew got a robot for his birthday recently. I may or may not have borrowed it when I was supposed to be working. It asked me to deliver this message. It also asked me to pass along his Doctor Who audition tape. He had a little trouble with his lines, though, so I think your job is safe, Nick. Hope you're both doing well. Well, I just have to find this this email now, don't I? Which may be less easy. Oh, here it is. Let's see if I can... I'm going to have to unplug this and see if it... Can't get it to play.
I love it.
Yes. Okay, thanks. I just said, yeah.
Superb. Love it.
And it
Love
goes
it, love it, love it.
bonkers at the end. Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sarah. I've accidentally pressed the go button again, but luckily, listeners, you can't hear it. Only I can. Thanks for that, Sarah. That's crackers. Proper crackers, that is.
Proper crackers, that-ers.
Now, I've put down that we should play the... we should talk about Sky now. Sorry, I got momentarily distracted, but let me just try Jamie Anderson, see if he's around. Or a square. That's really not funny, Nick. Here we go. FaceTime unavailable.
What a snake. What a snake.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
Oi!
Said face. It says face that you're on the Benji and Nick show.
What? Why would you call me now?
You're very busy, I know.
You're just being difficult now.
What are you busy doing, Jamie? Tell the listeners.
Well,
it will have happened by the time they hear this.
That's true. I'm preparing for the Firestorm mini-sode premiere at MCM Comic Con and online at firestormhq.com.
Ooh.
And here is a puppet remote control unit.
Wow. Wish they could see that.
Yeah, I know, it's very fancy, but yeah, so I'm just getting ready for that. And obviously, because I'm time limited, I have 2.5 hours until I have to leave. Now everybody's ringing me on FaceTime. Somebody just turned up. My insurance broker just arrived at the door and said, "Oh, I forgot that you need to renew." So I've just done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to leave you to it, but I'll see you tomorrow because I'm presenting the panel, aren't I?
Yeah, but that will have been yesterday or 2 days ago by the time this comes out.
Whoa,
it's already happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad you're going to be part of it, and thanks for calling. I really appreciate being on the show, but
get stuffed. Yeah. Okay. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah. We just did it for tradition's sake. Okay, Sky. Benji, take it away.
Well, it's basically this huge thing above us, which is blue, but I think that's down to the fact that reflecting the sea or something. Who knows? No, Sky, great program, 1975, HTV. A quick summary of what it is that three kids are out and about on a hunting trip. And one of them stumbles across this strange figure sort of inside all these leaves, and it's basically the discovery of a weird sort of humanoid creature from the future who has incredible powers over nature and all stuff like that. Really, it's all a bit wacky, isn't it?
Yeah, well, nature seems out to get him. That's the weird thing, isn't it?
There's a lot of lots of trees and leaves and stones. And
how much of it did you watch?
I watched the first episode, but only because I couldn't get onto the second episode because I got interrupted on the flight. But I watched all the first one, but I want to watch more because it looks awesome. And the weirdest thing is, I'm sure that I've watched the first episode before, because when I watched it, I was like, it was just really familiar to me. But I was a bit annoyed that I couldn't watch more because I can't remember what happened. There was something... Obviously, nothing wrong with the plane. Something happened that I had to pay attention.
We crashed, yes.
I had to pay attention to something and do something or another. But yeah, I'm gonna finish it because it is really enjoyable.
Well, it takes you to a very weird place, I have to say. It really changes as it goes along, and that's one of the strengths of the series.
It's a great series, though. I thought they did a really good job with it. I thought that it's got a really uncomfortable atmosphere. Throughout the whole thing, you don't quite know where you stand and what's going on. The music is sublime in every way. It's exactly, and I found
it's right up our street, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. I found for days afterwards, I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking, God, I have to go home and work out these sounds and lock them down.
Well, because it has lots of traditional music, doesn't it? It has sort of, wood block and violin and harpsichord, and then it has this really gutsy synthesizer.
Lots of sevenths in there and things like that, which one could analyze and say that is the nature versus humanity in the future and technology. And
I think that was what they were sort of aiming for thematically in the music. I would say pretentiously.
Yes, a rather good analysis. The original, you might say. I don't know why I said that.
That's fine. I think I'll talk about the rest of it like this.
Oh, yes, well, rather. I think that the simple manufactured synthesized sounds simply really draws contrast to the elegant violin of yesteryear.
What's the name of the composer?
Rachmaninoff, Russian composer. No, I will find out from that. Hold on.
I've got all his top 10 hits.
I wish I did. I love Rachmaninoff. TV serial Sky. Composer for this one is Eric Weatherall.
What else has he done?
Whose name doesn't ring a bell, but I bet he's worked it for KPM stock music before.
Great stuff. I think it's it's a fantastic, unnerving score he does. Traditional British TV standards here in that it's, all the studio stuff is done multi-camera video and with 16mm film inserts. Quite a lot of film inserts in the first episode. I would say the first episode is mostly film on location.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely, apart from the cave stuff.
In the cave, yeah.
I'm just having a look at...
Who is the actor who plays the upper-class pillock, who's called Briggs, funnily enough, the name of the character?
Let me have a look.
And he was in Arthur of the Britons.
Major Briggs here, Jack Watson.
Jack Watson playing a very posh chap.
He was in Edge of Darkness, wasn't he?
He was just in everything, Jack Watson. Just had a face like it was carved out of granite. And he could play all nasty blokes, or, you know what I mean? It's all sorts of different... Well, I don't think he really... He's also in The Changes as well, isn't he?
I recognise him from it. Yeah, I can't think who
turns up in that. He's very much an actor of the 1970s. He appeared in everything around about that time and seemed to major in kids' TV.
He has been in some quite impressive things, actually. He's been Captain Horatio Hornblower. Obviously, that's always going to be on my list. On the Beat, which is that great... Is that what I think it is? That hilarious... the Norman Wisdom film On the Beat.
Yes, he would have... Yeah. I mean, he's just got a really castable face, hasn't he, really?
A classic.
Anyway.
A classic look. Just interesting fact for you about Eric Weatherall.
Yes.
I'm looking here, and he's not actually done... He's an incredibly accomplished musician, doing a lot of jazz things and Gilbert and Sullivan, which he's known for. But in terms of television, he's actually got very little credits on here. He did a few documentaries, one for British Railways in 1970, corporate planning in British Railways. He did Thick of Thieves, a TV movie in 71, Sky in 75, a film called Machine Gunner in 76, and then...
Machine Gunner?
And then only did something in 98, Story of Albany Farm. Apart from that, he's not done anything, which is surprising considering...
I remember, has Machine Gunner got... oh God, the chap who played Reginald Perrin,
Leonard Rossiter.
Has that got him in it?
Yes, it has.
Isn't that weird that I remember that?
It certainly has. And interestingly enough, it was written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin.
Good, which is maybe because they wrote Sky, didn't they?
I believe so. Yes, I'll double check, but I believe so.
That's interesting. And the Machine Gunner movie was directed by Patrick John Gould, who also did this thing.
How peculiar is that?
I remember really liking. I remember seeing a trailer for the Machine Gunner movie and on television, and as a result, I recorded the sound of it because I liked the sound of the incidental music.
How strange is that? Had Kate O'Mara in it as well, actually.
It's me. All right, if you want to look at the cast. Ewan Solon, who was in... and interestingly, on the IMDb, the only photograph they've got of Ewan Solon is of him playing his character in Planet of Evil, the Doctor Who story that I know him from. Colin Welland? Wow. No other names I know. Dave Martin Bob Baker and Dave Martin are in Machine Gunner, playing Scruff 1 and Scruff 2.
Love it.
Next time I see Bob Baker, I say, I loved you as Scruff 1. He'd probably just punch me.
Life-changing role, that one.
And Nina Barden-Semper. I have no idea who she is, but she's the second rated star in there. British actress of Trinidadian descent, best known for her role as Barbie Reynolds in the controversial sitcom of the 1970s, Love Thy Neighbour.
Wow.
Ah, that's, yeah.
Some big old...
Now I know who Nina is. Yeah, incredible.
See, one of the things about this is that I
We
like...
could just delve down this wormhole for ages, couldn't we?
Well, as I say, I like when we look at these, because you can kind of... Things take different avenues, and you find that things sometimes have certain trends or things that link in with other things that we've watched. For example, Sky, in this, played by Mark Harrison.
Yes.
Mark Harrison there, weirdly enough, was in The Devil's Crown.
Really?
And that's obscure, isn't it, as well? So
Yes.
that's quite an obscure little
What's
thing.
his IMDb look like? I mean, because he was very much... Which pop star did he remind you of in this?
I saw him and I thought he just looked like one of the Bay City Rollers.
Oh.
I said Les
I thought
McEwen.
David Bowie, you know.
I saw a bit of the Bowie, the Bowie vibe
Yeah.
in there. Yeah,
Bowie.
definitely there's a bit of that going on. But
I
his
always get it wrong. Bowie.
Bowie says it's Bowie.
Bowie says
So
it's
David Bowie says it's Bowie. Yes,
That's right. I always tremble to say it because my dear friend Nicholas Pegg is the world-renowned expert on David Bowie, and I always get it wrong.
And what does he
around
call him?
I can't remember. I have a 50-50 problem of plumping for the wrong one.
Because I ended up thinking I need to settle this, so I googled it and found a YouTube clip of David Bowie saying my name is David Bowie, and in an interview. So I'm going with that, unless that was some...
Thank goodness
weird...
we've cleared that up, and apologies to anyone I've irritated or offended. I've irritated and offended myself, frankly. But anyway, yes, but he's very much in that mould, the chap who plays Sky, I feel.
He's not done too much. He's
like David Bowie in the Man Who Fell to Earth. He's that kind of character, isn't he?
As well, with the eyes as well are very similar, like those big, because he's got those weird things which are similar in The Man Who Fell to Earth. But the actual actor himself hasn't done an awful lot. He was in the Oneida Line though, which obviously was big, wasn't it, back in the...
Well, around about that time, that was one of the shows that everyone had to be on, like The Bill later on, you know what I mean?
But that was like his last thing he did for years, and then later on he turned up in Bergerac for an episode as simply Man in Car.
Wow.
So that was that. But I thought he did a good job, actually.
Oh, I think he's great in this. I mean, he has that brilliant otherworldly quality. I was just thinking about Bob Baker and Dave Martin. I'd completely forgotten had written this until we were just searching the interweb. The thing that Terence Dix used to say about them, he used to call them the Bristol Boys for some reason. I think it's because Dave Martin was from Bristol. Although, funnily enough, Dave Martin used to live in a house on the beach in West Bay, which is where I live now. Well, I live in Bridport, but Bridport and West Bay used to be the same place until they renamed Bridport, the beach bit of Bridport, West Bay in 1971 to make it sound more like a holiday resort. I've just gone down another
the Bridport
wormhole there.
Riviera.
But anyway, so Dave Martin from the West and Terence Dix, the script editor of Doctor Who in the 70s, call them the Bristol Boys, but he used to say about them they were bonkers. They used to come up with bonkers, crazy, big ideas, and he used to rein them in. And I think what we've got here is one of their bonkers, crazy ideas with no Terence Dix to rein them in. So this is pure, unadulterated Bob Baker and Dave Martin doing something really out there and really crazy that wouldn't have worked in Doctor Who at all, not in this form anyway. And it's just amazing. It's glorious, I think.
And it is bonkers. You're
I tell you, by the
totally
time
right.
you get to the last episode, there's some amazing stuff happens there. It just gets really weird, and I'm not entirely sure it makes that much sense. But yeah, it gets 5 exclamation marks from me because of its. And I can't wait to watch more. I had to quickly squeeze in watching it last night. I was so frustrated that I was too tired and had to go to bed and couldn't watch any more.
I'd give it a 5 out of 5 simply because it's so unlike anything else. It really has its own identity, and it's weird, and it's not ashamed to really challenge the viewer. Like, you sit there, you have to be kind of take it in, and also it's not obvious with what's happening. There's because of how weird it is and how much they've, especially that first episode, they've got to squeeze in a lot. You find yourself, you're not thinking, oh, he's going to do this and that's going to happen there. It is bonkers, and you think, wow, okay.
You're right. You can't predict what's going to happen, can you? That's an amazing thing about this. Yeah, it was totally unpredictable.
So
I love that.
I think, I'm totally
Some
with you with this.
pretty good acting.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's 1975. Some awesome clothes. Acting's pretty good.
The blonde boy he used to turn up as an irregular character in the Tomorrow People.
Okay.
And he's a little bit, he was very much of the time. He looks like the lead singer of The Sweet or something.
He does have that sort of look.
He's got that haircut, hasn't he? Yeah. And he is the least good. He's kind of just sort of whiny, sort of simpering, kind of good-looking boy. And he doesn't engage my sympathy. But I think the guy who plays Arby is pretty good. Who's, very, very sort of, in his mind, keeps being taken over by Sky, doesn't it?
Again, you can't quite tell what's going on with that. You can't tell he's taken over, but you don't really know what he's going to do, how far under he is. I mean, he was the same one. He didn't really do an awful lot. Went on to do a bit of kids telly, and then his career tapered off.
Yeah, found something better to do, I expect. By the way, there's a great villain coming up in it. I think it's called Ambrose, is he, or something?
I like the rice pudding.
Got that name wrong.
I'll have a look on the IMDb.
Yeah, go on.
There's Rex, Harold, Venner, Tom, Goodchild.
Goodchild, not but maybe he's called Ambrose Goodchild.
Right, Robert Edison, who plays him. What a face.
Yeah.
He's just very, very sinister.
Well, certainly is. I love the fact that he starred in a TV series simply called Bogner. Can't even think what that would be about. Camping, perhaps?
It's about Bogner. He also turns up in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
He certainly does, yeah. I think that was his big thing, wasn't it? That and I recognise him from something else, but I can't put my finger on it.
He works at your local corner shop.
I think he was in King Arthur or something. Some old King Arthur thing where he played
some old,
sort of king.
He was in a lot of things.
Just one of those guys. Talented chap. Did a lot of Wednesday plays apparently. ITV Player of the Week, Sunday Night Theatre. Big into all of that sort of thing. Brilliant.
He's a proper veteran actor.
He's a good egg, that chap. A good egg. But yeah, it's 5 out of 5 for me, this. Sky, give it a watch, actually, because it'd be interesting to see what other people think about it, because it's a bit of a loose cannon. I like it. So we get to the point now where we sort out what we're going to watch next time.
But we've already competition result.
Oh, we're going to do that? Okay, then. So we're coming up to the time now where we're going to do the competition results. Nick, what have
Liquid Podcast?
What have you got for us?
Well, the prize was the Tortured Children of Earth DVD. The question was, who plays Home Office Permanent Secretary John Frobisher? The subject line was not a penguin. You're clever if you get that. The closing date was Friday the 2nd of November. Was it?
Oh,
well, in that case...
It's still on.
It's still on. Yeah, carry on.
The game has a foot.
Yes, do carry on. Fine. Brilliant. Okay. Well, I did select a winner, but I'll deselect them, and we won't. I better tell my wife not to send the prize to that person. Yeah. That was a close one. That was
a bit of a clanger there.
So what are we watching?
So we've actually already had this one sorted out for us, aren't we? Because we're watching Ghost Watch.
Oh, that's right.
Because it's Halloween, isn't it? It's Hallows Eve.
Well, it would be. Yeah, Halloween will have gone by then, but I suppose no. It
would have been on the eve if you're listening. I suppose technically, is it on Sunday? Isn't it? Or I don't even know when it is.
Who?
When is Halloween? Siri, what day is Halloween this year?
Halloween is on Wednesday, the 31st of October 2018.
Were we going to watch it on Thursday night when you come over?
We could do, actually. That could be good fun, couldn't it?
Yeah.
That could be a real spooky sensation.
Humdinger. Yes.
A real humdinger, that. Yeah, I'm up for that. A live viewathon.
Yeah. All right, then.
Pipes.
Best get close to the microphone.
Yes, nice and cosy here against the pop shield, glasses steaming away. Well, thank you to those who have listened. It's been a voyage through the cult television seas. So from me, Benji Cliffhanger, it is goodbye.
And from me, the other one, goodbye. Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.